Today we're on to welcome Crystal Roland to the show today. I'm very excited to have her on. She talks about some amazing topics that we've mentioned on the show before, but not an entire episode on it, right? And I'm very excited to have her on today to talk about many different philosophies such as Stoicism, inner peace, serenity, all these things that have roots in ancient wisdom, but are very applicable today, right? And the thing about this is that once we kind of develop who we are in a sense, develop our own sense of self and inner peace, like anything is possible from there. And then really, it's interesting to find the power is in our hands, right? It's not in the external circumstances, as I'm sure we're going to learn about today, right? And as long as we kind of take control of our minds in a sense and utilize as a practice, we're going to be able to take control of our lives. And she's definitely a master at that. And we're going to have her on talk about all of her insights today and share her wisdom. So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for asking. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you, Anthony.
Absolutely. So, I'm very curious to hear your story and how you got into philosophy and serenity and everything, basically taking control of the mind to live a life of freedom in a sense.
That's a really good question, and it is a super long journey. I would say that it definitely does not happen overnight. And I find myself when you are in certain situations, like I told you before, life be lifing. So when something happens in your life, for instance, I was working at a insurance company for I want to say 14 years, and I worked in a corporate space for 14 years. I was an employee, and then I ended up being a part of management, and I really just noticed the disconnect between the employees and management. And so I saw both sides. I saw how employees was feeling about communication, and I saw how managers was feeling about communication, how I felt. And we all share the same thing as far as burnout, as far as emotional carryover. And on top of that, not only in the corporate space, but in your personal life as well. Because when you clock in, nothing stops. Like life is still going. You still have family responsibilities. So you still have so much going on. So you have to find a balance so you won't get burned out while you're working. And so I found myself being burnt out. I found myself really just not being myself and just carrying the world on my shoulders as a manager and as a person, overall. And I really just had to try something different. I grew up from a family where, you pray, give it to God, and you're good. But it takes more than that. You have to put in you have to put in more than that. Of course, God is the ultimate provider, but he also gave you the mind, the free will to make choices, to make better choices for your life. So I started meditating, really just being quiet and being still. I started meditating, really just looking within, like, what is it that you want, Crystal? What is stressing you out? What is fueling you? What is draining you? So you really have to ask yourself those tough questions. And you actually do that during meditation because that's the time that you have with yourself. That's the time where you just close out the whole world and start asking yourself the tough questions. And so when I start asking myself the tough questions and answering them, it's not a very comfortable thing at all. It is extremely uncomfortable. And that's where I fell into Stoicism as well. And Stoicism just taught me how to, just also be quiet in a moment and be still. And I'm telling you that stillness, you will learn a lot. It's a lot that you will not like, but it's a lot that you will like as well. But that's a part of life, and that's a part of evolving because we are all meant to evolve.
I love that so much. It's like you kind of started like you were kind of in a almost in a state of chaos, right? You have all these things going on with like job and all that, but then you kind of like realize that hey, I actually have agency here, right? I can actually take control of my mind within this, in a sense, right? You kind of learn all these different philosophies that kind of helped you. Is that right?
Yes. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And you're
Yeah.
worth it. You have to really because think about it as a entrepreneur, as a manager, you want really people to work hard for you. You want people to give their best. And so you have to do the same for yourself. You have to put in the
Yeah.
hard work within yourself. And it is extremely hard being still. It's extremely hard asking yourself those $1 million questions and being completely honest with yourself and doing something about it.
100%. Yeah. Especially in today's world of so many different distractions, it can be difficult, right? But it's a practice in and of itself.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of mentioned it's like there's like a lot of questions we need to ask ourselves, right? And it's being able to be honest with these things and have some self assessment, right? Because a lot of us, if we don't have organized thoughts, like what actions are we going to take from there that are actually going to be effective in a sense?
Absolutely, absolutely. And not only that, I call it scrambled eggs all the time. It's like, oh my God, I'm just all over the place like scrambled eggs. Like I'm just everywhere. I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere. I'm home, I'm at work. You have kids, you have dogs, it's a lot. It's a lot, and you have to really depend on yourself to make sure that things happen. And it also take a village as well, a good support group. And it doesn't even have to be a big support group. You can just have that one, two, maybe three people, cheering you on, holding you accountable. That helps out a lot as well. And by you doing new things like meditating, going into stoicism, that opens the doors for you to be a teacher to others as well. So a lot of people, because you'll be amazed, a lot of people don't practice that because they're too busy. They don't take the time for themselves to just take at least 5 minutes out of the day to just be quiet and be still and, just gather your thoughts because you have all the answers already. You just have to be still and find the answers, but you have them already. You just have to put the time in to find them.
100%. Yeah. Stillness is a key, right? We have to understand like the more still we are, it's like the silence has the answers in many ways, right? Because if our minds are elsewhere and invested in so many different distractions, like how are we actually going to find what is real and what is the truth in a sense? But is the more we can actually do these things, as you mentioned, like meditation, or just giving ourselves a space to contemplate and think and actually find out what is real is so important to actually do.
Absolutely, and you have to practice it as well. Meditation, that's one thing, stoicism, that's one thing, but you have to put it into action as well. So you have
Right.
to, when you're conversating with people, because a lot of times people, I find myself nowadays that's reading the room, with the economy, with things going on in the world in general. It actually affects us in some type of way. And so with so much going on within the world, you need that moment to be like, okay, what's the best decision for myself? Because a lot of things are going on right now. Prices are going up, like everything is up, 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 and people are frustrated. They're tired. I hear it every day when I'm working. People talking about gas prices, food prices, just prices in general. And that's where you have to practice stoicism, be still, and you have to ask yourself, okay, what am I in control of? I don't control everything, of course not, but I do have the power over my own mind. I have the power over myself. So, what is it that I can do to bring peace into my life? Because we just depend on so many external things to bring happiness or peace in our lives, and that's where we keep falling short of finding ourselves being stagnant in our lives because we just depend on outside things instead of really within to find the answers and find your true happiness and peace.
100%. So we talked about stoicism. Can you define what that actually is and how we can start to think about that in our lives?
Well, I like to just keep it short and sweet. Stoicism is really being aligned within yourself, and really, and I know it sounds very selfish, but you have to be selfish because who you have at the end of the day is yourself. And so you really have to look within and just handle yourself better, because a lot of times, like in Stoicism, Stoicism also teach you how when you feel disrespected or you feel uncomfortable and you want to just lash out or say something or do something. No, go in a corner somewhere, be quiet, be still, and just take some breaths and really ask yourself those questions. And it really just teach you how to not respond to everything and to everyone, because everything does not need a response. You need your peace. That's what you need. You don't need to respond. You need your peace. And peace looks different for a lot of people as well, just like happiness looks different for a lot of people. And so you have to find what makes you happy. You have to find what brings peace into your life. And the only way you can find that is if you are still in the moment.
100%. So essentially, accepting the things you cannot control while focusing your energy towards your actions, right? It's about remaining at peace within these current circumstances.
Yeah, and I hear the term throughout my life. I'm pretty sure you have as well, where people say, "I just want to keep the peace. I just want to keep the peace," and I feel like that is so artificial, because it's like, do you really know what peace really look like, what it feels like? Like, do you really know that? If you don't, then you're not really keeping a peace. It sounds like when people say that they are trying to appease others, but I feel that true peace is not what you're doing when you said, I'm just trying to keep the peace. Okay, what is the peace? So that's one thing that popped into my mind when you said that. It's like throughout my whole life, I just want to keep the peace. I want to keep the peace, and it's like, no, that's really not true peace when you really look at it.
Right. So it's not about saying it. You actually have to almost take action on it in a sense, right? Because a lot of times it's not just going to happen, but you actually have to put in certain practices in order to actually keep the peace, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. For instance, my peace is really being by myself, no TV, no phone or anything, just looking out the window, just looking up at the sky, just really taking in what's around me, just really zoning my inner thoughts, because sometimes we are so much in our heads. A lot. I have to do this. I have to go to the grocery store, or I have to do my homework. I have to do this. I have to do that. But my true peace is shutting myself up because I'm an overthinker as well. And in order for me to shut up, I realized that when I'm looking outside, looking at nature, being in nature, that is actually my peace. I'm just soaking up everything, the trees, the plants, everything. And that also gave me a new found respect for nature, because nature been here long before me, while I'm here, long after me. So I have to respect something like that. It weather everything, nature, it weather hurricanes, ice storms. Trees been through a lot. Trees, like prime example, trees been through a lot. All the different types of weather, and it still stands. Get what I'm saying? And so I like to just be around. I just like to be outside just when it's not all that hot. Because in Georgia, we have that humidity that will choke you. So when it's not that much hot outside, I do like to go outside and I just touch the trees. I don't like to walk barefoot sometimes because, you never know what's in the grass, but depends on where you live or where you are. It's very peaceful to just soak in nature and respect something that's been here, that stood the test of time.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, nature is like something we've always spent a lot of time in until recent times, right? We're kind of like disconnected from it. But if we actually start to get in line with what is real and be at peace, actually have the environment that we're in have a state of peace. It just makes things a lot easier, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I love what you said about the trees and just peace and just nature, period. Like it's real. Just like you said, nature is real. It's not something that we made up, it's real. And you have to respect it. It's been here, long, 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 long before us. You have to respect something like that. But we find ourselves respecting some the social media, the phones and stuff, like what does that do? Like what does that teach me? So once you kind of get into like spirituality and nature, it will really change you and how you view life and how you view others.
Yeah, for sure. Can you go over some common misconceptions when it comes to Stoicism? Because I personally hear a lot of them, and I'm not really understanding if they actually know what Stoicism actually is. You want to go over that a little bit?
Well, what I took for Stoicism, because to be honest with you, Stoicism, um, I'm mostly, and that's what I forgot to mention to you as well. I'm mostly into, Buddhism, and Buddhism and really Stoicism is, I want to say it's kind of the same because they teach you how to be still, and they teach you how to separate the ego from your true self. Basically, because the ego gives you comfort and Stoicism and Buddhism, no, it makes you, very uncomfortable. But to be honest with you, excuse me, but with both, it's very uncomfortable at first, but it's very much needed. So it really just teach you just how to be still and how to not be moved at all about really anything. It's all within the mind. It's all within.
Yeah,
And so that's
makes
what
sense.
I have gotten from also Buddhism and Stoicism. That's what I have gotten. Just be unmovable. Be, just be resilient, and being resilient, we definitely need
Yeah,
that in
unshakable,
these
right?
times.
Yeah.
What did
Well,
you
I hear
say?
a
I'm
lot.
sorry.
Yeah, just become unshakable in your life, essentially.
There you go. Unshakable. There you go.
What I hear a lot is, people they say being a stoic is like about emotional suppression, right? And it's really not about that at all. I don't really understand why that is a thing, but do you hear that too?
Well, to be honest with you, sometimes I get a little backlash from Stoicism because some people will look at it as being a cold person, being emotionless. But it's nothing like that. You just have more control over your emotions. A lot of people really don't have control over their emotions, so it's really about you controlling your emotions. And so when you don't respond to certain things, certain people may think you are being cold or you shutting them out, and it's nothing like that at all. It's me doing what I'm supposed to do for myself, and that's me
Exactly.
controlling my emotions.
Yeah. Why I think that is like as a societal thing, it's just like, oh, that's just the definition of it, but they don't really understand it's a whole entire philosophical system, right? That's been used for thousands of years, right? So it's kind of like
Yes.
it's probably like just a lack of understanding.
Yes, yes, absolutely. But yeah, people, and I know that we all have emotions, we all have feelings, but at the same time, every situation does not deserve your emotions.
Exactly.
So this is you really training yourself when to respond and when not to respond for your sake.
Yeah. So, what are some of the main principles of the Stoics that you've come across and have been helpful?
I'm sorry, what was the main what now?
some of the main principles that you come across with the Stoics that have been helpful and we can kind of utilize on a day-to-day basis?
Let's see. With that, the only thing I can really think of that I've definitely been just beating in the head is really just being aware of your feelings in that moment. In that moment. For instance, prime example. I was at the store and this guy, he opened the door to the sodas and grabbed him a soda. And he saw me standing behind him waiting, but he just let the door close instead of holding it for me. So because he knew I was waiting to basically get the same soda, I was waiting to go in the same area, but the door closed and he walked off. And the guy and I didn't care. I'm like, okay, well, I didn't let it bother me, but the guy behind me said, well, that was rude. He at least could have held the door open for you. That is not right. And I told him, I said, it's okay. I have other things to worry about. It didn't do anything to me.
Yeah.
So I'm fine. But I could have easily reacted the way he did, but that's me, because we both saw what happened, and I just had to think, okay, is it worth a response or not? Is it worth my emotions? Is it something to really get upset about,
Right.
or is it not?
Yeah, it makes sense. And something that comes to mind for me is the dichotomy of control, right? It's kind of the things they've talked about for thousands of years. Like they have like a an image where you would focus on all the things that you can control and then focus all the things that you can't control, right? And then they would
Hmm.
have you put all your energy towards your actions, right? That just makes sense because so much energy is being wasted on things we can't control, and it's kind of what you've been talking about as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also the seed principle as well. And the seed principle, that's a part of Buddhism. A little sprinkle in there as far as Stoicism as well. But the seed principle is you just planting little seeds. Because when you plant the seed, when you have a seed, guess what's going to happen? When you water it, when you do, it grows, it sprouts. And so we always actually plant seeds, and that's really planting intention. So you really have to be mindful of the seeds you plant as well, and what will help it grow and what it will grow into.
I love that. It's kind of like you reap what you sow in a sense, right?
Yes, everything you do, everything you say, everything you feel, it plants a seed. And so also, with leadership and with everyone, when you think about it, we probably planted a seed sometime today. You never know. I'm planting a seed really, and when you talking to someone, the podcast that you make, that's planting a seed, because it's all about you expressing yourself, you doing things that are intentional, and whether it's in and with the intentions, it could be good or it could be bad, but it's all about planting seeds, and that's planting intentions. So you will have to be more mindful about what you're planting, what seed you're planting on a regular basis.
Yeah, exactly. Going back to mindfulness, right? It's so important to actually have the awareness of our actions, what we're doing, and kind of contemplate things and just get better over time. So ultimately, trusting the process, right?
Absolutely, because it's not going to happen overnight. That's one thing that we all struggle with, is we want things now, now, now. But also with Stoicism as well, that teach you patience. It really do,
Yeah,
because when you start looking within, when you start having those still moments, you have to be patient with yourself and be more kind to yourself as well, because this is a lifelong journey. It really is. So you and what I mean by lifelong journey is growing, being a better person, because we always the world is changing. And so we are changing as well, whether we know it or not. Even though we may be at the same job for 20 plus years, you have changed within those years. You may not have changed jobs, but you have changed. You see things maybe differently. And so just with, Stoicism also, it taught me how to be a bit more patient as well. And that's one of the best things that you can have in your life is patience, because what's worth having is not going to happen automatically. It's not going to happen overnight. It does take time. And you have to understand that too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, patience is key, right? Because we all have these goals and things like that, but a lot of us we just give up before they happen. And you have to understand that
Yes.
it's a process, right? You have to trust it, and you have to keep on taking that progressive action on a day-to-day basis and get those small wins in.
Absolutely. And with the small wins, guess what those small wins build? It just stacks up. It just grows. And next thing you know, you're like, oh my goodness. I started doing this maybe I started practicing Buddhism, Stoicism. I really just started listening to myself, trusting my gut. I've been doing this for maybe 4 years now. And it's really one of the best decisions I made, because a lot of us are very impatient, very, very impatient. But that's about control. You can control your emotions. So that's the only thing that I can control. I can't control how fast the line moves in the grocery store, or I can't control the light on the street, like it changed to red and it just changed green. Like what? I can't control when I'm at Burger King and they're taking a while to give me my food. Like none of that has anything to do with me. And if I sit here and be upset about it and complain about it, it's not going to make things better. It's only going to do something to me emotionally. And by me having certain things like that make me upset, I have the rest of the day. And so when we do that, that's called emotional carryover. I'm upset about this thing, then something else happened that's probably not even that big, but I made it big because I'm still upset about my fries. And it's right. So you have to constantly check yourself in order to be good and kind to yourself. Because if you're upset about some freaking fries at Burger King, come on. Like, do you really want to have that feeling all day? Don't you want to feel good? So why are you mad? And so the fries, by you being upset at fries, now you're upset at something else, something on TV. It's just all like a domino effect sometimes when it comes to emotions.
Yeah, we carry over this like emotional residue in a sense, right? We kind of like going from thing to thing, but we don't have like this mental clarity because we're still kind of like this thing is in the background in our minds from an hour ago.
Exactly, exactly. And what good is it doing for you?
Right. Yeah. That's a
Now, I
practice in
always like to
itself,
feel
maybe.
good. Yeah, I always like to feel good. And sometimes not sometimes, I notice that we do it to ourselves. It's like I
Yeah.
want to feel good, but uh, okay, I'm still carrying over what happened at Burger King, and those people have served probably 50 more people since since I was there, or that person is not even thinking about me, or whatever the case may be, but here I am still upset. And why? Like,
Exactly.
don't do yourself that way. Don't do yourself that way. Mm-mm.
Yeah. It's not worth it. So,
No. And that's a part of peace. That's a
yeah.
part of peace. Okay, they was late giving me my fries. Oh well, I have my fries. Oh, and they're hot too. So what's next? That's
Right.
peace.
Yeah. Now, you also talk about the path to serenity, right? Now, I'm sure like a lot of what we talked about kind of goes into that, but is there anything else that comes to mind when I bring that up?
Oh, you said what else comes to mind when you?
When I bring up the path to serenity, in terms of the
Oh,
things we
got
talked
you.
about from that.
Yeah. What path to serenity is really about knowing yourself, because a lot of us don't A lot of us don't know ourselves. When you really think about it, we don't know ourselves. We let other things define us. People who are maybe in relationships, friendships, where the case may be, you find yourself kind of being lost in other things. And that's why a lot of times our lives are kind of out of whack because we don't know ourselves. Some people don't even like themselves. And so that's when you have to take that path, walk that path to serenity. Like, well, why you want others to like you, right? So you need to like yourself first. You have to master yourself first before, I'm not going to say master others because it depends on the situation, whether you are going into leadership or whatever the case may be, but you really have to master yourself. What is it that Crystal like? What is it that once again bring me happiness? And if I can't answer that, then I need to walk on this journey to find those answers because and that's hard. It's hard and it's very uncomfortable, and that's where a lot of people do fall short because once it started getting hard, the journey started getting rocky and hard. That is when people, quit and stop and just run back to the ego, what's more comfortable, what I'm used to. They run back to that. But when you have those scary moments, those uncomfortable moments, that is when you know you're doing the right thing
Yeah,
and you need to keep moving forward.
yeah. Self mastery is so key, right? Because as you've been talking about, it's a process, but the way I look at it is like we're almost forging our character in a sense to live the life we're meant to lead, right? Because we have kind of sacrificed who we are for what we could become, right? Because we're carrying around these old beliefs, old patterns, and all that, but it's not actually serving us to our highest vision.
Absolutely, absolutely. A prime example, I have a friend and she wants to get married. And I asked her, okay, why do you want to get married? I don't know. My mom is married to my dad, my aunts are married, and it runs in a family. Do you want that? Like, do you know what it means? And so a lot of people, just like you said, to piggyback off what you said, a lot of people stick with traditions. And a lot of times that is not your life. That's not for you. That doesn't, those traditions does not make everybody happy. And it's probably not even in your story. I'm a firm believer and our story has already been written. We just have to find the book and read it and write it. We have to find it within. I can't find it in you or my mom or my dad. It's my own journey. It's my own piece. And so when you say, okay, I want to do this or I want to do that, okay, why? Ask yourself why. And you have to answer yourself honestly. And so when she said, I don't know, like everyone else in my family is married. Okay, well, you don't have to get married if you don't want to. It's your life. You have to, whatever you have going on in your life, you have to deal with it. Relationships, friendships, work, everything. When you bring something in your life, you have to deal with it. Is that something that you want to deal with in your life? Is it, worth it for you? Is it written?
Exactly. I mean, what you're talking about here, a lot is like the power is not in external circumstances, but it's more so within and how we handle them, right? Because as long as we're kind of being a victim and looking for the external circumstances to kind of control the situation, we're never going to want to get where we want to be, right? Because as you mentioned before, the power is within. We just have to take control over what we can, which is our responses and our actions, essentially.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you have to practice it. You can talk about Stoicism all day long. You can talk about Buddhism all day long. But when it's time that is tested, you have to, go, you have to do it. You have to do it. And it may feel uncomfortable because you're responding to something differently than how you used to respond. And what I had to do, I coach myself. And so I have to coach myself into things. I have to talk myself into things because that ego would come and start questioning. Like, okay, well, I would tell myself, I want to write a book. And then my ego would tell me, girl, you don't write a book. You never you didn't too much read books at first. Like at first I didn't read too many books, but now I'm finding that I used to do audio all the time, like listen to them, but actually picking up a book and reading it, I find myself doing that lately. And so that inspired me to, write a book, and I have a story to tell as well. But you come back and say, oh, but you can't write a book, or no, that's smart people do that, or it's all these external things that will stop you from doing something that you're meant to do for your highest good. And so that's when you have to shut out that part of yourself, the ego, that the chatter. You have to listen to your subconscious. Your subconscious is telling you, write a book for a reason, because you do have a story to tell and you do have lives to touch. Someone probably went through the same thing that you went through and chose another path, or whatever the case may be. But I'm a teacher. I'm a leader. I'm a guide. And so I can't be that if I don't talk to people, if I don't put myself out there. Like, how am I supposed to be these things and I'm sitting back hiding because I'm afraid, because I taught myself out of doing something that's best for me, but I taught myself out of it because it would be uncomfortable. We're so worried about comfort all the time, and it's like, do comfort really bring you comfort?
Or interesting to think about, right? It's like oftentimes like discipline equals freedom in a sense, right? We can do the hard thing up front and get the results that we want, or we can actually do the easy thing and have the life of not getting results that we want in life, whatever it is, health, wealth, relationships. I feel like it's a lot harder personally.
It's recycled behavior. Recycle, I keep doing the same thing, I'm going to get the same results. And so if you want change in your life, guess what you have to do? You have to switch it up. You have to change. You can't do the same thing and expect for change to happen. It doesn't work that way.
If you
But
want to change, you
unfortunately,
have to
we find
change.
but unfortunately, a lot of people, they want to change, but it's hard to change. And a lot of us are already so tired. We're so tired already, and putting the work into yourself, that requires energy. And a lot of our energy is sucked out. it
Right.
it takes energy, but it has to be done if you want change, if you want things better for yourself.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's like, there's a lot that we can do. And like, again, going back to distractions, it's like we have to focus on things that matter in order to actually move the needle, right? Because a lot of us, we kind of major in minor things. So we're kind of like focusing on the things that don't really matter. We actually make it a practice and focus our energy towards what matters in life. That's going to be the most important thing, right? Because it's a self assessment process as well. We kind of have to calibrate a little bit, but as long as you kind of stay in alignment as much as you can, I feel like it's going to lead to the best results.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
And when it comes to inner peace, that's something we talk a lot about as well. Is there any barriers that you see on a common basis that are coming up for people? Like, is there anything specific that comes to mind?
When I think about inner peace and where I fell short at is when I just find myself thinking about um, the bad things when I start thinking about good things. So, for
Hmm.
instance, I would think about something that makes me happy. What makes me happy is amusement parks. Going on roller coaster rides. That makes me happy. But then, and when you are meditating, you have to, think happy thoughts to have that energy up, to have your vibration up or your aura up. It's all about good. things. It's all about, bringing good into your life. And of course, all things will not be good all the time, but that's when we have to bring ourselves back, because guess who's in control again? You
Right.
are in control. And so I just found myself interrupting my happiness with bad things that I didn't have no business doing. Just thinking about or reliving a bad situation that already had that happened or was already resolved, but I'm still going back to thinking about it or what have you, and then it put me in this state where I shouldn't be. And so I just find that's what happens when you're practicing inner peace and alignment, because once again the ego is trying to fight something that's different. Like, wait a minute, the ego is like, wait a minute, I don't know you, I don't know what's going on. I'm used to the rivers and the lakes over here, I'm not used to the ocean over here. Like, what's going on? You're trying to bring an ocean in my life, and you're trying to bring an ocean up in here, and I'm used to creeks. I'm
Right.
used to, lakes. I'm not used to an ocean. And why are you bringing this ocean here? We don't need an ocean, So that's what I find myself doing, is kind of interrupting my thoughts with things I shouldn't be thinking of for my highest good. Once again, I'm thinking happy thoughts, but then I start thinking about the to do list I have. Okay, I have to go and get this. Oh my goodness, I have an interview in 30 minutes. It's like, no, you have to be kind to yourself, be good to yourself. This is the moment when you meditate, when you practice, that is your time, yours. And it doesn't belong to anyone else. It's 24 hours in a day. You
Yeah.
deserve time to yourself. You deserve that 5 minutes, that 10 minutes. And a lot of people kind of mess up with meditation too. They try to go all in. And I feel as though with meditation, just do baby steps. Give yourself 2 minutes, and then the time will grow and grow and grow and get longer once you see the results. Once you see I'm making better decisions with my emotions. Once again, I was proud of myself for handling myself that way in the store. It's like, okay, this really is working. You're constantly checking yourself. It's a job. And it may sound exhausting, like checking yourself all the time. It may sound exhausting, but you are worth it. You need
Right.
it. You need to check
Yeah.
yourself, because guess what? When someone else try to check you on something, it doesn't bother you. Like, been there, done that. I already, put my own foot up my own behind, and done sat in it, got mad or whatever. So I've already been through it. So whatever
Yeah.
you say, it doesn't affect me because I took myself through it first.
Right. Yeah. It goes back to presence again, right? It's like for me, what came up is like taking control of the all the small moments throughout the day, right? Because our minds can easily be distracted by intrusive thoughts, as you mentioned, right? And sometimes like we're in a moment and it's like easy to have full peace and agency over our mind, right? But then maybe lacking energy in certain situations, or perhaps uh, I guess we have to adapt to something. But the more we can bring presence to the moment and actually focus our thoughts towards our actions, we get better over time. That's what I find. It's like you kind of like train your mind in a sense to kind of focus on the life that you want. Do you see that too?
And not only focus on the life you want, but putting in the work to get that, because we can have whatever we want. We just have to know what we want,
Right.
and we have to know that it's for us as well. Because, for instance, my friend wants to get married. Well, I had another friend that got married, but the person who she was with wanted to get married more than her, and so we just kind of find ourselves doing things for others. And I'm pretty sure you have heard this, and you have maybe said this sometime in your life, but I like seeing other people happy. I want, people happy. I do. I've said that a couple times, and some people, have said that to me, and it's like, okay, you want others happy. What about you? Like the things you was doing to make them happy, were you doing that to make you happy? Well, when
Yeah.
I see people happy, that makes me happy. So other people's happiness is your happiness. Are you sure? Because everybody's happiness looks different. Like I'm happy when I eat ice cream. It- Ice cream doesn't make everyone happy. So it's like
Yeah.
you really have to ask yourself the tough questions. Why do I feel this way? Why do I want this? And then it will just bring better things in your life, and it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard, but you will see the results from that though.
Yeah. It's good to see want to see people happy, but not at your own expense, though, right?
Right.
It's like it has to be in alignment. It's like even if you do, it's like that's not even necessarily real happiness because that person thinks that you want this something, but you really don't. So it's not even real in a sense. But so it's kind of like it's the only way for it to be a win-win is if it's actually a win-win. Like you're in alignment with yourself and them.
Absolutely, absolutely. I tell people all the time, a lot of people talk about death and how they're afraid of death. And I'm the type, I just want to die a happy woman. That's my goal, and when and I meant that when I told a lot of people that, but then I went back and I kind of asked myself, okay, you want to be happy, so what are those things that will make you happy? Because hey, you might be going tomorrow. Like who knows? But like my goal is to die a happy woman because I read the room and it's a lot of people that's not happy at
Yeah,
all. And they have this artificial happiness and it's just simply not working. It's not working because you're going to bed feeling the same way,
for sure.
feeling the same way, waking up the same way.
Yeah, we kind of live this same life on repeat until we start to take different actions, right? And I always like to say, your inner world creates your outer world. Instead, it's like we have to take control of our beliefs, our thoughts, and our internal landscape in a sense, how we feel. And it's a self-assessment process, and it's always a process, meaning like, okay, this is where you are, but then you can get better upon that, right? Because you have goals in your mind, and you actually have a process. Most people don't even have a process, right? So it's kind of
Right.
it's like you create your own system of success.
Exactly, exactly. And a lot of people, I grew up with a family, just, go to church, pray, but nothing is wrong with going to a therapist. Nothing is wrong. Like you can go to church, you can go to therapy, you can do meditation, you can do it's not a box basically, happiness is not put in this box at all, and so a lot of us just kind of put it in a box and really just make it artificial, but we have to know it takes a village. You heard the saying, it takes a village to raise a child?
Yeah,
It it takes a village to raise a person.
right.
And so it's not just one thing that will help you in your life. It's not just only church, it may be, talking to loved ones or talking to a therapist or going on strolls. So a lot of times when we open ourselves up to different things, then we actually will start finding ourselves, finding our happiness, find what we really don't like or what we really do like. Because, for instance, it may be something that I don't like, but that's only because my mom didn't like it. So you just have to kind of ask yourself those questions and break the chains because we put ourselves in chains and we just need to break the chains.
Wow. Yeah, just like being able to have that self awareness and actually knowing what you want, right? Breaking the patterns, being open to different things, being open to actually how could things be, right? Okay, this is how things are, but like what would it look like? Going back to questions like, okay, how can I learn from this? How can I embrace this? You start to get to the other side of things and you start to embrace the life that you want. So
Absolutely, absolutely. I love how you put that. Yes.
yeah, because greatness does not just happen. It's very intentional and deliberate. We have so much potential within us. We have to live on purpose and with integrity, and all these things are tools to help us do that. So
Absolutely. And we And we look down on ourselves a lot when we should be lifting ourselves up.
Right.
We just talk ourselves out of being great. Just like you said, the potential, we all have so much potential, but it's all buried in all this crap out here. And that's just like the short version to put it. It's like we
Yeah.
bury our potential and we just need to get a shovel and dig it up.
Yeah. Gotta be honest with ourselves, right? What we actually want. Give ourselves permission to go for the thing that we want, not
Right.
kind of get bogged down in the nonsense. So it makes sense.
Yeah, we want others to be honest with us, right? So we have to be
Yeah.
honest with ourselves. So start practicing within.
Always. Yeah. All right, Crystal.
Oh,
This has been awesome. I really appreciate you today for coming on the show, sharing your story with us, and how we can actually live a life of peace and serenity, right? And it ultimately comes down to owning our own minds. And it's something we all have the power to do. There's a practice that do that. It does not just happen. It is an intentional thing. Like we are better at over time, right? Because yeah, it's hard in the beginning. It's because we kind of live our life on autopilot. It's like we kind of come up in the systems and we just kind of like are taught a way of thinking, but actually come into what is real within ourselves and actually stay in alignment. And that's how we reach our full potential. So there's so much ways to do
absolutely.
that, and these are some ways that have been time tested, right? So thank you for sharing all this wisdom, and it's been very insightful.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time to have me here and just converse with me. I love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been fun. So if we want to get connected with you and all your work, where can we go for that?
Yes, you can actually go to my website. It's path to serenity.info. I created curriculum for training. I have a curriculum for corporate. Um, corporations where it helps them to be more aligned and be in the moment and be present at work. So I call it like corporate style meditation because sometimes in corporations, they kind of icky around meditation, but I call them like corporate resets, basically. So corporate
Right.
resets. So I created corporate resets for leaders and for employees. And I also created a training program to just help them be more mindful while at work.
All right. I love it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me, Anthony.